to order. We will start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the prayer given by Martha.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together this evening to do the work of the citizens of Shelby County. As we do so, may we remember your word as shared with us in Ephesians 4:25. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. And as your word is also shared in Psalm 133:1, how good and pleasant is it when God's people live together in unity. As we proceed with this meeting, may we all set our individual differences aside, remembering the oath of office that we took, and work together in truth and with a genuine desire to do what is right for the protection and betterment of the citizens of Shelby County. May we all remember, Lord, that we are here to serve you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Clark Ganley.
Here.
Mark Bennett.
Here.
Teresa Bain. Here. Tim Brown.
Here.
Carol Cole. Here. Julie Edwards. Martha Bernhaber. Here. Clay Hardy.
Here.
Deb Keenan.
Here.
Annette Martin. Sean Martz. Tad Mayhall. Keith McCormick. Tim Morse.
Here.
Lori Nelson. Here. Bobby Orman.
Here.
Christy Otis. Here. Cindy Ross.
Here.
Mitchell Sheff.
Here.
Don Tate.
Here.
Brent Wallace. Jeremy Williams.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 3 is discussion and vote to approve the board minutes from August 8th, 24 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Carol, is there a second? Second by Clay. Is there any discussion on the August 8th minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 4, Tim Morse. You got the floor.
Thank you. I would like to make the motion to remove Bobby Orman as county board chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Teresa. Any discussion? Go ahead.
And my whole reasoning behind this is I feel like as board members, we've been kept from pertinent information that's on the audit by you refusing to give us the first draft so we can tell what the differences are. Without all the information, board members cannot make good decisions, and you've been amiss in doing it.
Any other discussion? Teresa.
Well, I can piggyback on what he just said, because he just handed us out another piece of paper that says draft on it, and this wasn't included in the packet. And anything that says draft on it, it's always been my understanding we can't vote on it anyway. So what would keep anybody from attaching more information if we vote on a draft tonight, sticking more stuff like this in with the draft?
So that's page 41. We'll get to it during the discussion of the audit. There was either an omission or incorrect something on 41 that we will replace.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. How is this discussion pertinent to item number 4?
Well, I'm trying to mitigate the issue that Teresa has with this particular piece of paper.
Well, I understand that, Mr. Chairman, but that is not germane to item number 4.
All right. So anyway, it's an exchange of a draft page and a correction. It is still draft, and it's not draft as soon as approved.
It's not what?
It becomes a document that when we approve it, it's no longer draft.
So we will not receive a copy
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
We will get to this when we get in the audit discussion. Carol.
I feel like that you are not representing the entire board. We talk about committees and how everything should go through a committee. One time I put an agenda item on and was called out for it because it didn't go through committee. When you hired the surveyor and the appraiser, it didn't go through committee, didn't go through the farm chair. You just decided on your own without asking the other 21 members of this board what should be done. You also took it upon yourself to pay Ms. Ambrosiak $74,000 when we had a chance to bring it before the board. Everyone should have had a chance to go through that. So I feel like you misrepresented the board in that. I also have one other comment. I asked, as a board chairman, I think you're supposed to help us out too. I asked you after a meeting, or before a meeting, maybe 3 months ago, would you sign the crop insurance papers? And you said you would do it after the board meeting. After the board meeting, I asked you, can I sign this now? And you said no. So you told me that you would sign it after the board meeting, and you said, I know, I told you, I'm not going to. To me, another misrepresentation.
Right. I misspoke when I just said, oh, the rest of that, you shouldn't have said what I said. However,
But you did, and you didn't.
yeah,
So I guess that's the luxury of the chairs, that you get to decide.
so back to, what was the second thing you said? About
Ambrosiak.
Ambrosiak?
Ambrosiak.
I had nothing to do with her and the state's attorney. That's their deal. I had nothing to do with that. So there's nothing I can do about it.
But I did ask you the next board meeting in June, would we have been able to discuss this on May the 9th when we had a board meeting? And you said yes. I mean, we could have, maybe you didn't say yes. We could have discussed it on May the 9th, and we chose not to discuss it. And then May the 10th is when Mr. Hammond left, and that resolution that he had, or whatever it was, stated this money had to be paid by the 15th. You said you had no choice. We always have choices. But you didn't give the board that choice.
I didn't know we had a choice. My apologies.
We had a choice whether to pay it or not. And it was paid. But the board did not get a vote on it. I mean, to me, that's part of a board decision.
Oh, back to the hiring of a surveyor and the appraiser. Those were in the resolution as instructions for me to do.
It didn't say the board chair. It said the county of Shelby shall hire a surveyor. The county of Shelby shall hire an appraiser. It did not say, laugh all you want over there. This is what it said, okay? You're not part of this deal. It didn't say the board chair. So I think you stepped out of your bounds and went ahead and hired those two people, invoiced it without going through a committee and the board. Everything's supposed to go through committee and then bring towards the board. You didn't bring it to the committee, and it didn't go through the board.
Any other comments? Teresa?
I'm gonna get shut down on this one too. In the budget meeting this last week, I think that I questioned whether or not the department heads had been notified that they should get their budgets together and stuff. And I think you made the comment that you would notify Jessica to notify the department heads. Have you done that?
No.
Okay.
But let me ask a question. We are 3 months from budget, budget year. I I mean, I'm gonna ask a blatant question, do I have to give instructions to all the department heads to have their budgets ready? Because I know a couple of them already do.
I know that there are some that have, but in the past, I think that the other boards, it was the responsibility of the board chairman, because you have to sit down with each department head and go through their budget and stuff, that you should notify them. And it wouldn't be up to Jessica to notify them. I think she did. But the orders should come from the chair of the board.
That would take communication with the clerk and the chair.
It takes communication between somebody. You gotta have two people to communicate. I'm gonna ask you one more thing.
What's that?
Matt Jones, have you ever contacted him, you or Mark? Because I think I've asked at least twice about the economic development program that they're trying to get started and want to provide us with. Have you ever contacted the man?
No.
Thank you. Have I not asked you to do that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Point of order.
I'm sorry.
Could you make note Julie's here, please? Thank you.
Made the record show that on 7/11, Julie has made herself present. And to bring up to see, we are in discussion on the removal of Nina's chair. And I have a point of order. Somebody call the roll. Julie, or Lori, call the roll.
I said point of order.
Oh.
I think somebody, I think someone else called roll call. I don't know their
All right. We can do roll call.
Roll call.
Could you restate the motion, please?
The motion is to remove Julie as county board chairman.
So yes, so it is to remove.
Yeah. Tim made the motion, second by Teresa.
Amling,
No.
Bennett,
No.
Bain,
Yes.
Brown,
No.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
No.
Bernhaber,
No.
Hardy,
No.
Keenan,
No.
Morse,
Yes.
Nelson,
No.
Orman,
No.
Otis,
No.
Ross,
No.
Shuff, Tate,
No.
Williams.
No.
All right, then the motion fails. Item 5 is Heather Wade, discussion and vote to approve the fire's authorization for probation evaluation.
Good evening. Jessica said I had to talk loud. So I had finally passed the 40-hour, finally was able to take the course. It wasn't about passing so much as getting into a course. I received annual approval to carry firearms last year, and I'm renewing it again today now that I have all of the requirements met. So psychological 40-hour, all my training is complete, and it's got circuit judge approval and chief judge approval once you approve. So, anybody have any questions?
Is there a motion to
Yes.
approve the firearms? Jeremy makes the motion, seconded by Sonny. Any discussion? Questions for Heather while she's here? This isn't the first time you've been in, is it?
Yes,
What is it?
I had not been able to get into a 40-hour course. Our MTU, mobile training unit, hasn't had one. Mobile training unit 15 allowed me in. So in Carbondale for 4 or 5 days that you saw in all the bills. And I passed on Thursday in the heat, about 110, and I'm a little too old for it, but passed it. So now I'm ready to go.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item 6.
Thank you.
Discussion vote to approve redemption line for opioid settlement money.
Okay, so I'll probably lean on Jessica quite a bit here. There are $95,688.47 right now, not in a fund, of restricted money that came from the Illinois opioid settlement. we have had a few people wanting to do expenditures, and we have a couple people that are going to be requesting some of those funds to assist the community in opioid abuse. The sheriff, I think, is also going to be requesting some for his MAR treatment, medicated recovery treatment in the jail. So I, at this time, am not asking for money. We see more methamphetamine use than opioid use in our community. So right now, I haven't got anything lined up to ask for the money, but I know that I believe Seed and Our House and Ross may be requesting some money, and Shelby County Community Services, they do a lot of the treatment issues in the settlement, which is, I have a copy, and I can forward anybody. It's extremely long. I'll send it out to anybody. It has very restricted uses. But the issue is, we have no expenditure for it. We can't expend those funds. So all I'm asking is for you guys to set up an expenditure line item. I think in emails that were sent out between the treasurer and the clerk and myself, that it was fairly simple to do. They would set up a line item, and the treasurer's not here, but it says,
It would be very similar to like ARPA, where we have it budgeted and all we have to do is approve the uses as it comes out. Right?
yeah, and how that looks, I'm not good at that kind of stuff. So I've seen one of the requests and the amount that they're asking and how that would work if they would be turning in receipts, because that money has to be reported. So when the money's spent, the treasurer has to report it back into the system to the state. And they're not asking for, in my opinion, much of that $95,000, but they haven't even made the request because we can't expend it. So I'm asking you guys to approve expenditures. Whoever's requesting it, I'm assuming outside of a county department, as in the sheriff, those other would have to come before you make the request. You could then approve it or deny it and figure out how the reporting would be. But all I'm asking today is for you to get an expenditure. And I think they intend to make those requests in December because that's when the new budget would start and you can set it up. I don't know if it could be done mid-budget. I don't have any idea. But you can, I don't know those things.
Okay. So, yeah, that will be, that's just like a matter of creating a line and
Yeah.
budgeting the funds in there.
That's all I'm asking. The funds are there and they continue to come in right now. I think what I read was 2038. There's still funds going to be coming in. Nothing's been spent out of this. And I know that both of these and the sheriff could really use that money for, and I don't want to say we don't have opioid use. I said my major concern in the county is methamphetamine and fentanyl is starting to come around more. So, you know, we may have something we would be asking for it at some point as well. But I'm just asking for you guys to set it up to expend it.
Got a question?
Go ahead.
Will that be in your budget, a line item in your
No.
budget, and just a separate
It is in the
account
general,
number given to it?
it's already in the general fund. So you already have a line item for the restricted funds. I always want to call, or it's not a fund, the restricted money. You already have a line item where it's coming in. You just don't have one to expend it. And it will stay in the general fund. If I made a request, well, I'll have to figure that out. I'm assuming I would go before the finance committee and ask what that looks like, because it's not one of mine.
It would be similar to ARPA, where we've got funds came in and then we have budgeted funds so we can spend that back out.
Heather, can it be used for like education programs?
Yes, that's what most of, and there is, I'll forward you the email. The back half, I can leave this with you too, I have multiples. This back part of it is the remediation uses. So, and education, part of what one of these requests is going to be for education, even with youth. One of them is asking for some updated materials for opioid use. There's stuff for, of course, MAT programs, medicated assisted treatment programs, Narcan. I think there was something for pregnant postpartum women. There's all kinds of stuff in there. It's very specific, and it does have to be reported. I just want to make sure that we can actually expend the money. and what that looks like going forward. I think Mark forgot to put me on the finance committee. So that's why I brought it to the full board.
Yes. You asked me.
Yeah, I asked you before meeting, I know.
Any other questions, discussions, ideas? Mark?
You came by the finance meeting. I didn't make it. Just-
Yeah, I came, but we couldn't talk about it because we weren't on the agenda. So I brought it here.
Oh, by all means, you can have a discussion, just no decision.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
Absolutely, sure.
okay.
Thank you for coming by.
Yeah. Well, I'm not Bill, and you looked at it.
I just have a question. What if one's family member had taken that, the opioids and was hooked on them? Is there something?
This is not for that type of, it's not a liability, it's just
Okay.
this, it's a settlement. And like I said, I'll forward this to you. This is an allocation agreement. There is the remediation. It's extremely long, and it even gives the percentages of the breakdown of what each county gets. So each county gets a set amount of those funds as they're, not funds, restricted money as they're coming in. And then,
I'll take your word for it.
but no,
I just,
that's not part of this.
That's fine.
But I'll be happy to forward it to anybody who wants a copy.
thank you.
No, there's no need for a motion. Right, but there's no need. When we're creating a budget, we can have the treasurer's add a line, and then when we approve the budget, we approve the line.
So nothing needs to be done with the current budget. This will be for the next
This
fiscal
will
year
be
budget,
for
is that correct?
I didn't know if you could do it in the budget. I mean, they would love to make the request for the money, but I didn't know how that works, so that's why I came to you guys.
Right. Well, if nothing else we've all got in our ears, so. But I don't,
I think setting up the budget will work the best.
yeah. Set it up in the
And
budget.
you don't
and
see
we
that
approve
it's
the
in
budget.
there. Please agree with us.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
all
Are we
right.
going to talk, the budget's not on there, is it? It's not on the agenda?
No.
No. Okay. I just have some questions on it and the audit, but will I be able to ask questions during the audit or no? Because if not, my family's home and I'll go home.
What questions about the audit do you have?
Just during the discussion, after I see what happens, I may have some questions.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, here we go. Item 7, discussion vote to approve the draft audit for FY ending August 31/22.
I'll make that motion to adopt.
Motion by Sonny, seconded by Jeremy. On to discussion. So, you all have in front of you this piece of paper. We started talking about it a little bit ago. That's page 41. If you go to page 41 in the copy that you have, there's this one subtle difference.
Would you like my copy that's printed out?
No, I've got it right here.
You have a copy of this?
So, so the difference is in number 16 in commitments, the county regularly enters into contractual agreements for construction-related projects, and capital assets. The county has several such agreements in place that contain commitments beyond August 31st, 22. That is the original.
No, that's the new.
That is
That's
the
the
new. What it said was that there was approximately 1.456789 beyond, and it was highlighted. It was to be taken out, but it was never taken out, I guess. So you don't want to have a wrong number there. And then I do believe that was the only other change. So
Is there supposed to be a figure on this 16, on the new one you just gave? There's no figure?
it just says commitments, and it's just saying that there are commitments beyond August 31st, 22. So that's why this hard copy was printed out so everybody had it in front of them, because the digital copy arrived at 4:03 this afternoon. So once we get the corrected version, then we'll have it. So anyway, this is the correct version with this in it. So other than that, you'll notice that the missing pages from the August meeting are in there. It's the financials and footnotes. Other than that, the findings and recommendations and everything at the bottom, which is really pertinent to our managerial implications, are all still there and intact. So, any questions? Martha?
Do we need to have any kind of an amendment made for the draft copy that we received to replace page 41 with the handout piece?
So, for clarification, this is why things are drafts until they're approved.
Right.
So, we have the draft with this corrected page in it. So the approval is everything, and then this one little change is what the approval is for. So now that we've verbalized and gone through what that change is, we're still approving the draft audit, the final draft, and it'll be what this, what this has in it.
Did we recognize the gentleman that came just a minute ago?
So I have 7:26, 27. Brent is in attendance. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Go ahead.
What does approving the draft accomplish?
Sorry?
What does approving the draft accomplish?
Approving the draft means
Because
that
we
we
can't
adopt this.
vote on a draft.
Right, so when we approve this, it becomes the actual document that is our audit.
And I know Dante's been on the board for a long time. I'd like to ask him have you ever approved a draft of an audit, Don, the whole time you've been on the board?
My memory is that we have been presented a draft or a audit document at the meetings that we approved. Basically, what Bonnie's saying, that's what this is. We could have not accepted the documents that were presented by previous auditors. We did.
Right, even if they didn't have draft flashed all over the front of it, it's still a draft until the board approves it.
So will the board receive this document that says draft on it now, a final copy of it, with all that, the draft taken off of all of it?
Correct.
Who will send that out?
I'll send that one, I did. this is, when I got this one, late last week. I sent it right back, I sent it out to everybody, whenever it was last week. So, that's right.
I said it was 10 o'clock Thursday.
Right, right.
Do we know when we'll be getting a final audit?
Well, this is the final audit.
It says draft. I mean,
But once it's voted on, it's adapted, and then it's the final document. This is how it always works. We have a draft version, we vote on it, and then it may not say draft, but everything is a draft until it's adapted and approved. And then that's what, once it's voted on, it's the final document. I mean, that's how it comes, when things come out of committee and everything, it's a draft until it's voted and approved. I guess I don't understand why we couldn't have copies of all of it that didn't say draft on it and voted on it that way. Because until it's voted on, it's a draft.
So, I can't really give you a left or right, yes or no, up, down, forward or back answer to it, but I can presume, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the auditor is not going to release a copy of their document with that draft on it to cover their influence. And if they do, it would be presumed that is a final document, that would be an adopted policy or adopted draft. Well, as long as it says draft on it, everybody knows that this was pre-approval of the board.
And then if it would fail, the draft would go back for revisions, correct?
So, anyway. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Amling,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bain, Brown,
Yes.
Cole, Edwards,
Yes.
Bernhaber,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes.
Morse,
No.
Nelson,
Yes.
Orman,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Shep,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 15 ayes, 3 nays.
Before you move on, and since we're on audit, just real quick, so how soon will they have that return to go in? Because September 18th is the 60-day deadline. And since it is approved, how soon will we have that back and how quickly, and who will be sending it to the Illinois Department of Transportation?
So I don't know if I can have Tim send it to IDOT, or I guess we would send it to IDOT. We, the clerk, treasurer, whoever has it, would send it to IDOT.
That's what I'm asking. I want to make sure, I mean, our 60 days is up the 18th for a transportation grant.
When you contact Benford and give them the minutes that we've approved the draft, or the vote that we've approved it, can you give them we need a 3-day, 5-day, whatever turnaround time?
Well, yeah, Tim knows the 60-day window is.
But for responsibility, can we give them a turnaround time?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what I'm asking, because I sent an email to the full board, and I asked 6 questions, and nobody answered me. Nobody answered me. You might have sent me one. You did answer, Sunny did answer me once, but none of the things that I requested, and I'm not sure, we know I'm not the county board stuff, I try to stay out of it, but I asked for a few things to be on the agenda, and I was hoping that someone would put them on. I believe I can put myself on when I need to make the request, but the audit and the budget is outside my scope of what I should be doing. So I've looked at tonight's agenda, and what I'm seeing are none of the things that I asked be put on here, and I'm glad that the audit's passed no matter what. as far as transportation funds are concerned. But nowhere on here, 60 days of the 180 are gone on the 23. The 60 are gone. So we're on to 23. I don't know if nobody's, and I'm sorry to do this, but nobody has answered me. Have we hired anyone for 23?
Bedford would stop saying they would stay and do 23.
They what? I didn't hear.
Bedford Brown said they would stay and do 23.
Does that have to be approved? I mean, I'm just making sure we're not going another 30 days into October. That's why I was asking this
When
stuff.
we contract 2 years.
Okay, see, I don't know that. But I guess that takes care of it. And I'm going to then ask, will you please send me an email when there's a finalized, when you have what you voted on back, and verification that it's into the Illinois Department of Transportation. I think, I don't want to stick around for public body comment and say I'm upset. I want to make sure that, these are the questions I'm asking, and there's a reason. The budget hasn't been addressed until today. It has not. I have been told that we're not hiring anyone to assist us with the budget. Fine, that's your choice. Jessica was kind enough to send an email because the fiscal year flipped last year. Was that last year? This is our first one in December. So I'm used to doing it in April. She sent a reminder back. Mine is done. Mine is prepared. So that was my next question. Who's going to do that with us? Are we going to be bringing our budget to full board meetings? We're going to go to committee? Huh? So someone from that committee, because they're due what day? Or how soon do we have to have them?
I think I said, no later than the 23rd, September 23rd.
So no matter what, and anybody's agreements or disagreements, I prefer someone saying this is the date. I have no problem as department head saying, you need to have your budget in this date. It helps me. I'm focused on other things. My budget is done because I did my annual plan at the end of August. So I prepare for 25 for the state. So I have it ready to go, but if it needs to be somewhere, I just want to know who I'm going to be taking it to, who I'm going to be walking through with me, because Bellwether knew the law changes for me last year, so it was very simple. So that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, we'll get a budget committee say, well, it will be a serious discussion. This was all done,
Okay, so that should be October
I'm looking at
for the budget.
every other Wednesday, starting somewhere in late September. So I was going to pick up all the budgets that were ready, and then move to the budgets that are not ready.
So as far as format, the consistency was Bellwether provided us what they wanted us to show, which had the comparisons. We're not going to have any of that. You just want us to write it on, just put it in a spreadsheet? I mean, I'm just want to be consistent here.
However we did it in 20, whatever it was, 21. But basically we're going back to, we're going to put it in a spreadsheet still. So the spreadsheet's got all the numbers in it. But as far as the format, if you got an Excel spreadsheet that you're working with, then print it out and we can vote.
Okay. All right. So you're going to make sure they're notified, so the transportation grant, and you'll let us know, please. All right, thank you.
Bobby? Good. With relation to Heather's concern, when you contact Bedford Brown and say, we approve the budget, could you request that they send a copy direct to IDOT rather than it has to come to us and then go to them?
I'm going to venture to say that the disbursement of documents from them is probably against something in their bylaws and probably auditor's bylaws. I'm not going to say that for medical certainty, but I'm going to venture to guess that disbursement of documents from them is highly frowned upon, so it's going to have to come from us.
Okay, well, it's just a thought to speed up the process.
Yeah, I know. But
And yeah, that was made me think of something else. When will you tell them to start on 23?
when I tell them that this was done, approved.
will you just please communicate and send it back to me in an email or something, so I'm a lot quieter when I know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8, Highway Engineers Report. We will go through a few things of updating information to the board, and then we'll do a 50-50 petition, so Michael, the other board.
Thank you. I'll leave the resolutions and petitions for a little later. Starting off, in the future, I'm just letting the board and everybody know that we are going to have a lot of additional engineering agreements coming our way. There's policies that are possibly changing for our bridge program. There's been a large increase in the funding, thankfully, through the state, and some policies that are changing for the better for us. So I'm just making everybody aware that I'm going to start putting some bridges in motion. It takes approximately 3 to 5 years from initial to construction to complete these. So I'm going to begin in the next few months. We'll be seeing a lot of bridge agreements coming into place. So just a foreshadowing there. Right now I do have a number of them, a couple in Oconee Township, Rose Township, a couple in Richland Township and Flat Branch, one on our county highway. Those are engineering agreements that likely in the next few months will be, you guys hopefully will be seeing for approval. And in addition, the highway maintenance, I'd say major accomplishments since our last meeting. Maintenance and construction season is actually closing, but we're in a prime season now to get a lot of work done. Everything's pretty dry, and a lot of things are progressing very well right now. We have in our maintenance crew and has been completing a railroad crossing in Todd's Point Township. We've completed 50-50 in Pickaway Township, signage maintenance, filling the potholes, rock hauling, still fixing general equipment around. Culverts that were on County Highway 5 were reconstructed here lately. Culverts on County Highway 19 completed, which is the first on County Highway 5, that's Country Club Road, and on 19, that's the Assumption Road. Maintenance and removal of just general equipment. We did get some, I think the board, we did get some deputy vehicles they did share with us, and we did some maintenance on those as well. Front office team, my techs have been largely busy with a few projects. There's 2 bridge projects, a culvert project, a railroad crossing, and preparation for County Highway 5 reconstruction that's going to be happening. It's actually started a little bit yesterday. They did do some milling on County Highway 5, which is the Country Club Road. I'll talk about that here more in a little bit. So my techs have been busy with doing that, as well as I'm supporting them as much as I can as well, along with what I'm doing. So Oconee Bridge inspection, we have one of the bridges is finished in majority, and the other one they've just now started. They did the demolition and removal of one of the structures. Todd's Point Railroad inspection. You guys have supported the oiling that my maintenance crew has been doing. I've been still working heavily on planning basically for the different bridges and the different roads, coming up with costs, coming up with time frames to make sure that the roads are still maintained. And there is just a very long lead time using IDOT funds, and I just want to get ahead of that. It's what I'm trying to do. So making sure that we can get things maintained and keeping them in a better order. So I'm coming up with time frames, and hopefully I'll be presenting that eventually to the board and publicizing that information as well, so everybody knows what's coming down the pipeline eventually. Been working on also pavement preservation plans, which is a requirement for some of the funding that we get through IDOT. Projects, County Highway 5 reconstruction, I mentioned earlier. We did the pre-construction meeting. September 16th, which is next week, is a tentative start date. This is still weather permitting, and Hal Asphalt is going to be the one doing it. They are They're very busy, so they anticipate next week they will be starting. They do anticipate actually 4 days of heavy construction. They will be doing 1 lane mile for the entire stretch. This is from roughly Possum Creek area up to Coon Creek area. So they will be doing 1 lane for the entire stretch for 4 days. So there's going to be 4 days of paving work. And then for the next few weeks, it'll be intermixed in with other items such as striping and all the other necessary shoulder work, other necessary work for the construction of the project. It's a $1.5 million project. It's a very big one, and I think it's going to go very quick for everybody. But it is scheduled for next week. And yesterday, like I said, they did start doing some of the milling and prep for next week. Union Pacific Railroad crossings. My guys have been working on this. We've been doing this in-house with my own forces. My technician has been out there doing all the paperwork, and so far, I'd say we're 90% as of today, now 90% complete with the project. Earlier, the report said 80%. They've completed a good portion here within the last few days. I estimate that the county has roughly probably saved about $60,000 to $70,000 at least, just doing it with our own forces and keeping that in the county for us to be able to use on whatever we need. So I got a good team, and they've taken on some good projects, and I think they're doing a great job of trying to be frugal with our money. They're doing a good job. Gonzalez is a consulting firm. They're doing design on 3 other crossings that will likely be constructed next year. So we'll have another one of these projects north of Shelbyville we'll be working on next year again. Then there will be 6 more from the county line to Findlay. Those are going to be progressive for the next 5 to 10 years. We'll be seeing these crossings. And as much of them as we can do in-house, we will try to do. County Highway 3, which is the Findlay Road, it is, just as an update, it's still likely to be constructed hopefully next year. That is still the hope. IDOT is definitely aware of the issues, and I keep asking them to get us in as soon as possible if there's any opening to get us in. But basically, they're telling me next year is at best condition. So, Oconee Bridge, Township Bridge, I did discuss this one a little bit already. Project is one of them is a majority complete and open. There are just some very few minor items to complete. Fencing and seating, basically, is the only items left. So after that one's complete, now the next contractor can move on to the next one, which is about half a mile down the road east. And it is looking to, it has started. The bridge is in majority removed. And in the next few weeks, we'll be seeing the foundations constructed. We have completed multiple 50/50s again, Pickaway Township, and they were completed on time and in budget. That's once again by our county forces doing those. So they've been very busy. So with that, I would open it up to any questions on anything I discussed. Yes. So I also have a petition for approval. It's a 50/50 from Big Spring Township Highway Commissioner. It is to line an existing 9-foot diameter, 20-foot long steel pipe. It's an old tank car, actually, with a 40-foot long liner pipe. The estimated cost of the project is an estimate of $17,121.73, which will be shared half and half between the township and the county bridge account.
Mark makes a motion, Zimmer will second it. Sounds like a project. Are you serious?
township is actually going to help us out a little bit. They're going to dig it out and then help us by opening it up so we can slide a pipe in. Because our excavator that we have is big enough to lift the pipe, theirs is not. So we will help them with putting it in. So.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Clark Ganley,
Yes.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Bruce Payne,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole, Julie Edwards, Burnhaver,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Doug Keenan,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Laura Nelson, Bob Dorman,
Yes.
Chris Otis,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Schaaf,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brent Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Anything else for the very good?
No, the second agenda item, I was actually going to request that we just table for now until I do a little more research and homework on my end. So,
And we'll just take over.
Okay.
We'll address it.
thank you.
All right, Scott McKee, you have a litany of things here to address this evening, so I'll let you have the floor.
Thank you. First off, I would like to apologize. This is the first time I've ever actually requested money, and I should have brought it before the finance committee first. But I jumped the gun on that and put it on the agenda, so I do apologize for that. Start with item A, 9A. I did send out informational package to everybody last Friday.
So there a motion? Second makes a motion, there's a second. So the motion is discussion vote to approve, this is the motion, to approve a request by email to Department of Service for purchase of a UBT M30T drill at a cost of $15,331. So I have a motion by Sam, second by Julie. Open the floor for questions.
Mr. Mayhall sent out an email today, but this was not on public safety agenda, but it was discussed in new business. This would be a drone that will be some discussion had with public safety, but it will be available to all county emergency services. It will have thermal imaging on it, and I think it's a great idea, so I encourage you to yes vote on this.
Does it, when you say thermal imaging, is it to like locate maybe people that might be missing or something?
Yes. It also has payload capability on it, which means it can carry something and drop it, potentially a life preserver or some other device, something that you need a great distance away. So,
Scott, do you agree with the policy with this?
No.
So,
I know that the sheriff's office already has a policy. So I would be talking to them about that policy and probably adopting it for the rest of the county.
so I'm not opposed to this, but I'm just saying that should we have a policy that would include the inmate in place before we obligate the purchase? That's my point of concern. Go ahead, Tim, let's go with what
Does the operator have to be licensed?
Yes. Well, they have to be certified. So I know the sheriff's office already has one deputy that is, and then I would also seek that. I would also encourage the dive team and the rescue squad to have at least one person on there.
When we discussed this in public safety, I asked about where it would be kept at and stuff, and you indicated that probably the best place, and the sheriff was there, that it would be kept at the sheriff's office.
Right. Right. That way, the sheriff can get it right away, and then if the dive team or rescue squad need it, I can access it while working there.
There's somebody there 24.
I just a note to make sure that we have the discussion with our insurance folks, because drone exclusions are very, very commonplace, if not 100% of the time unless you have one. So, and they may actually require a policy be in place for the utilization. So we just want to make sure we dot those I's and cross those T's so we don't have any issues there.
Any other questions, discussion?
I think policy is definitely something that would be in order. I think public safety could easily take that up. If we approve this tonight, it's not like it's going to be here tomorrow. I think public safety can meet and bring a policy forward that I think will cover any and all concerns that might be had as to the use, form, and function of the equipment.
In other words, we should draft a policy and then approve it at the next meeting.
We could draft a policy and have it ready at the next meeting, yes.
But in the meantime, if said machine showed up in the next 30 days,
The sheriff would be in charge of it, and as the gentleman already expressed, he has a policy and trained pilots, if you will allow me that term loosely.
Any other questions on this discussion? Hearing none, we'll roll call this, please.
Hanley,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bain,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cole, Edwards,
Yes.
Fernhaber,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes.
Morse, Nelson, Gorman,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Blake.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Item B is discussion vote to approve a request by the Energy Department for a 5-year subscription to time responding to all emergency response units in the Shelby County total $33,882. So, I have a motion to approve. Mark makes a motion, second by Sonny. I will turn it forward to Scott, and we will take questions.
Okay, like I said in my email, this is a supplemental dispatching software. The dive team and the rescue squad both already use a different software called Active 911. Christian County, the Christian Shelby County board kind of took up the ball with this, and they want to adopt the I Am Responding software for both counties altogether, but they're not forcing anybody to do that. So there's going to be a 2-month free trial period, but that period's not going to be until next year. So if I was going to ask for this, it had to be now, basically. There is, an opportunity for people to not use the software. I know Windsor's not sure if they really want it or not, but it's everyone else that I've spoken to, Fayette County uses it, Effingham County, multiple entities use it there. They love it. They say it's better than Active 911. And I think it would be appropriate if the county went ahead and footed the bill on this with the ARPA funding.
So just to dovetail on that, this is just an initial emergency notification for all the departments. This does not solve any radio communication issues. There are efforts being made to mitigate that, but as he stated, Windsor uses one type of an app, and a lot of the hesitancy is we sort of know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. The county dispatch is wanting to get all departments on the same communication, which I think is a great idea. And being it's a 5-year contract, it gives everybody time to look at it, use it. There's no pressure from the departments to have to try to find money to implement this. And then it gets all the departments in the county on the same program. So again, with this item, I think this is a great idea and a good use of department funds.
And as stated in that supplemental, just to be clear, the 911 Christian County, Shelby County 911, they said that as long as the cost remains the same, each entity will have administrator control over how that software is used, and that the 2-tone network works on that. So basically, when the tones drop for their radios, it automatically goes directly to that phone. So, but they're all for it if those 3 things are met. And the pricing is very competitive. So after the 5-year period, the pricing is currently at $287 for entities with 100 or less calls. And I know Austin said he pays $240.
Yeah, it's only about $40 more a month than what
So
a
once
year,
that,
a year than what we pay now.
so if we pay this, once that 5-year ends, it's not like it's gonna sink them, you know, they've got a little bit more, but not much.
Well, the cost caught my attention first. The 5-year term, does that affect the evergreen clause of the awards? Is it an option to do? Just because it's development term?
It's not self-renewing,
Okay.
so it doesn't mean there's an evergreen.
Okay.
However, it does stretch out over the course of time. And this is really for, this is the request I made to use the part of the funds one time, correct?
Correct.
For a 5-year contract, it's starting with something that costs a couple $100 a year. That's on his.
So it's upfront. So there would be no concern about tying the answer to the
No.
because it's upfront cost.
Right.
Well, we're not necessarily trying to make it more because it's the administrative working the program through.
Thank you.
There none, roll call.
Hanley,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bain, Brown,
Yes.
Cole, Edwards,
Yes.
Burnhaber,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Keenan,
Yes.
Morse, Nelson, Foreman,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Shuck, Tate, Wallace,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, item C is discussion and vote to approve the use of ARPA funds and subscription to text line internet service and the amount of $7,250. The motion to approve. The next motion to approve, is there a second? Second motion, I'll turn the floor back to Scott for the second.
All right, this is something the clerk and I have kind of done together. It was, again, included in something on a packet, but this started from my office with the Nixle software that we use. It is horribly inadequate. It's very old, it hasn't been updated in a long time, so it's clunky to use. I've tried to I've given the opportunity to the sheriff's office and the clerk to use it for anything that they might think of, because it uses, like, the clerk thought about using it for election purposes, but it's just not user-friendly, and so I'm spending quite a bit of money every year for this software, and all it really does for the county is send out alerts for severe weather, which most people already get on their cell phones. So what I would like to do is replace it with a software that does a better job, essentially. So my biggest use of Nixle could be, it's not been utilized yet, but is for wireless emergency alerts, which are things like Amber Alerts, or it doesn't require a subscription, you push it out to a phone. But again, the Nixle software is not very good for that. And this TextMyGov is much, much better. So from just my perspective with the iPOS integration, it's worth the purchase. However, it does a lot more than that. That's when I brought in the clerk with this, is that it allows each department head to integrate with a widget on the website so that people can text in, or they can use that widget and get information from each department. They can also text in information, like so if the sheriff's office, someone wanted to report something that wasn't an emergency, they could send him a picture through this service and say, hey, this is a problem, can you check it out? It could be used for the highway department. If someone sees something majorly wrong with the road, they can also do the same thing. It can be used by any department head to basically give information to the public and then get information back.
Bobby, real quick, can I ask, please, out of respect for the speaker, that the gallery refrain from having conversations or take them outside to the hallway, because it's very distracting. I can hear conversations there, which they're fine to have, but please take them out in the hallway or listen to the speaker, because he has put a lot of work into this, so please pay attention.
So it does.
Weren't you late to the meeting?
Because I was working. got off work, came straight here.
We're being polite, we're whispering.
You're speaking while we're trying to listen to a man who's come to do his job. I'm not asking you to stop talking, I'm asking you to take it out to the hallway, please.
All right, Mike.
Anyways, so there is still that subscription sign up like Nixle, so people would have to sign up for the information that they want, like they want to know more about elections, they can sign up and then they can receive notifications from the clerk's office about elections. But it also, again, gives me that ability to send out wireless emergency alerts to everyone. So basically, it's Nixle, except instead of just for me, it's for the whole county. And it's much better.
So we're looking at a cost of $72.50 annually?
No, $72.50 is the initial,
5750.
and then it's $57.50 after that. However, I was looking at that proposal today, and I noticed that it had the enhanced media package included. So that's basically just graphics and stuff like that for the county to use to kind of, use for the county to say that we have this software. We don't necessarily have to use that, so I asked him to send me a separate proposal without it. And so annually it would be $5,000 and the initial cost would be $6,500.
This system would also be used for weather alerts.
Yeah, well, it can be. Yes.
Can be. People don't have to sign up for it.
So they can sign up for the non-emergency alerts.
Okay.
So they can sign up for that. But they do not have to sign up for the serious stuff. Like if there's a tornado heading towards Herrick and the National Weather Service calls me, I can get on my map and draw an outline of where National Weather Service says, hey, this is what's going to be coming your way, and I can push that to every cell phone in that vicinity. And if they drive through that vicinity, then it also alerts that.
You could be from North Carolina driving through there, and if there's something coming, your phone's going to go off. You don't have to sign up for this. It's just if you're in that area.
Which is what I need out of Nixle, and Nixle does do that.
Does not do
Very poorly.
Oh, does it? Okay. Thank you.
So do we need to amend this amount of $72.50 to $65?
I would recommend it because I don't feel like we're going to use those enhanced graphic packaging, and it already comes with a little bit of it anyway. So I would consider amending that so that the cost goes down. I don't see why we would spend money on something we don't need.
And now there's a question on it. So then yearly it's $5,000. Will that be something that's in your budget? Then,
We would,
5,000?
that is a part of the budget talks. I will add that to my budget.
So would you like to please make a motion?
Yes. I'll make an amendment, make a motion to amend the $72.50 to $6,500.
Okay, is there a second to the amendment? Second to the motion? Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Amendment carries. So we'll go back to the main motion as amended. And then the government funds solicitation. Text my gov service will announce any amount $6,500. So, by no means did it made and seconded. Any other discussion? Go back to the motion.
I'm just curious, I mean, if this thing, if it turns out really, if it, for some reason it turns out not to be what it is, would it be up for review to get rid of it?
So it's, yes.
Okay, I mean,
It
I
requires
hope
a
it's
six-
what you say,
Yeah,
and maybe
it's
it
a
will be.
60-day cancellation notice, so we can
Okay.
cancel it at
But
any
we
time.
could, if a year came by and it was crappy, we could just say no.
Absolutely.
Okay.
On this last item, I know we discussed this in public safety, it's 75,000 text messages. Did you confirm if one text to 10,000 people counted as 10,000 or counted as one? Were you able to confirm
I
that?
did not confirm that.
Okay.
Like I mentioned before, they have yet to charge overages, so that's what I was told by the.
So you're not concerned about any overages?
No, especially not the first year.
Okay,
People will be
because I
signing up for this, but
I didn't see any price for that. The other thing that I want to make sure that the contract does not have an evergreen clause, and this breakdown has an evergreen clause in it. The terms are, after the initial 3 years, the agreement will revert to year to year. And I saw an automatic renewal. I just want to make sure that we don't have an automatic renewal in that.
As he and I were discussing that, I wanted to look back on this, and I see that this is for a 3-year term. So it would be a 3-year thing instead of a...
Yeah, at the top of the page, it says the agreement is set to be automatically renewed after the initial term. Very top of the page, second sentence. I just want to make sure that we don't lock ourselves into an evergreen clause situation.
Then I recommend that we don't pass this, and I will talk to the representative and have that removed.
Mr. Chairman, I motion to retable this until we get some more information.
Who authored the motion?
I did, or Julie did.
I think maybe seconded it.
I'll have to ask the clerk.
Julie made the initial motion.
Would you be willing to withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I can withdraw.
We'll withdraw the motion, and we'll do the action.
All right, thank you.
So, there, reflect item C, no action taken. Item D, discussion votes to approve map amendments to retail property for marketing on parcel 1614-28-00400-004 from agriculture to general business for the use of welding shop business. Is there a motion to approve? Carol makes the motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Mark. Any questions for on the particular rezoning?
Where's this at?
So this would be northwest of Stroudsburg, out in the country. The two farmers next to him, they didn't have a problem with it at all.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E is discussion vote to approve the tax amendment to the zoning ordinance requiring a road use agreement for installation transmission line 34.5 kilowatts per grade.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If we want to pass this, we'll need to amend that. When I sent this out to Jessica, I made a typo. It's supposed to be kilovolts, not kilowatts.
Okay.
The resolution says kilovolts, but the agenda item says watts.
So the agenda item is correct?
No, the agenda item is wrong.
Wrong.
The resolution is correct.
Well.
To amend.
No, we need a motion to amend
Okay.
first. So we're going to make a motion, there a second?
I think if you put just kV instead of kilovolts, for the people who know what you're talking about, that's what they'll look at.
Okay.
kV, just K and V.
We'll amend it that way.
You want to second the motion?
Not the way you said it, no.
I'll second it.
Second by Sonny. So now we're discussionary part. So the document needs to be kV, not kilovolts.
Well, the
And,
resolution says volts, kilovolts.
right,
Maybe
but
it's
the,
kV.
agenda items are correct.
Question.
Okay, so now we have a motion to amend. So the motion to amend.
So what's it gonna say?
What's on the question? So the motion is for 34.5 kilowatts for grid. It needs to be amended to 34.5 kV, correct?
kV, if you look at it, the definition is 1,000 volts. So if you have a high line that is 34.5 kV, is 34,500 volts. It sounds Greek to everybody sitting here unless you're familiar with the terminology. And I just think KB is what it needs to say, so people will know that are looking at it, they know what KB is.
Okay, so now we're going to amend the agenda items to KB as well as make sure that the resolution for the zoning ordinance reads that as well.
So moved.
Jeremy makes a motion to amend. Bill wants KB. Is there a second? Tim seconds that. Tim Moore seconds that. Any discussion on the amendment? Clear as mud, right? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. So now we will move to the main motion as amended. So, to reiterate, it is the zoning ordinance requiring a road use agreement for installation of transmission lines of 34.5 kV or greater. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
Who said no? Clay said no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item F, discussion and vote to approve a test amendment to the zoning ordinance that would authorize the Shelby County Zoning Board of Appeals to have a final authority over processing variances pursuant to ILCS Article 5, Division 5-12 zone. So is there a motion to approve? Martha makes a motion. Is there a second? Lori seconds the motion. I'm going to turn this over to Scott for discussion.
Basically, the state statute says that variances can be settled one of two ways. Either it can go to the zoning board of appeals for final administrative authority, or it can go to the board of appeals for a recommendation and then it goes to the county board for final administrative authority. My goal here is simply just to make things more efficient. Leave it to the zoning board of appeals for variation. And again, variation is not some big amendment to the text. It's just we're talking about footage and stuff like that. Very, very small.
And the zoning board of appeals is appointed by the county board.
Yes.
I have a question. So this one that we approved for the gentleman above this, the welding shop, would that not appear then on the, it would go to the zoning board, if they approved it, you said okay, we would never see that. Is that what you're saying?
So the earlier thing for Mark Yates was an amendment to the map for the county.
Okay.
So that goes through me, the planning commission, the zoning board of appeals, and then the county board for final approval. But a variance is, we're talking about like, a good example was not too long ago, a guy had an agriculturally zoned area next to single family residences, and the county board made a variance so that he could have 6-foot size instead of the 20-foot size.
Setbacks.
Yeah, setbacks.
Okay, okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Go ahead.
So if we pass this and the zoning board of appeals says no, then what would the aggrieved party have to do then? They can't come to the board.
They have final administrative authority, so the only other option is judicial review through the circuit court. Now, the zoning board of appeals could refer the matter to the county board if they felt it was contentious.
If we don't pass it, then what happens? It
It
stays,
stays the same.
which is,
It goes to the zoning board of appeals for recommendation, and then it goes to the county board.
and the purpose of skipping that process is,
Efficiency.
that zoning board of appeals is a 5-member board that only has 3 on it?
Yes, that's correct.
I would just like to say, if the Board of Appeals is appointed by the county board, then we should be appointing people that we have full faith and confidence in to make decisions. And if we can make it more efficient by allowing them to do what they're statutorily allowed to do, then do it. And if something's contentious, they can bring it to us. If somebody's not happy with the decision, which happens, let it go through judicial review. But we appoint them for a reason, so let them do their job. That's my opinion.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, if we're doing that, then anytime the zoning board chooses one way or the other, then we're going to force someone to take a judicial process, which is lawyer fees, court time. If it comes to the full board and the full board upholds the ruling, then that person still has that option. But stripping that away and giving that full power to 3 people, well, 5 if there's 5. I don't know. I struggle with that, to be honest with you.
Would this apply in the case of underground transmission lines trying to go around? Let's say you've got a solar farm in the middle that doesn't want to go along. Would they be in charge of allowing those setbacks to use the right-of-way of the highway?
No.
Okay.
Because the variances are very specific, I believe, out in our ordinance. There are specific reasons a person can apply for a variance, and that's not one of them.
Okay.
So in that pack that I sent you on item F, there is a list of what the variances can be used for.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Could you raise your hand, please?
Tim Morris, Teresa. Mitchell, Lori, Jeremy, Sam. They were next.
Safeway,
Sure.
Morris, Kevin, Sharp, Nelson, Ross, okay.
Is that a motion still passed? Item G, discussion and vote to approve text amendments to the zoning ordinance that would delegate all responsibilities of the Shelby County Planning Commission, including but not limited to amendments to preliminary plat rules to the Shelby County Board of Appeals pursuant to 55 ICS 5/1041 and 55 ICS Division 512. Then motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve. There is a second. Martha, second motion. I'll turn it back to Scott for.
For multiple reasons, there are issues with the zoning planning commission, none of which have anything to do with the members. All the members are wonderful people. They've been very supportive of my office. And I'm a member of that particular committee too. Basically, the planning commission is a redundancy that isn't really supposed to be there. So for text amendments, for example, it goes through my office, then goes to the planning commission, then goes to the Board of Appeals, and then goes to the county board for final approval. So both of those committees make recommendations, and I feel like that's a redundancy that doesn't need to happen. But not only that, but the state statute actually specifically says that once the ordinance is in place, then the planning commission shall cease to exist. The point of the planning commission was to create the ordinance, and then for whatever reason, they got the comprehensive plan from the University of Illinois, and they decided to keep the planning commission going. So our ordinance currently reads that there are certain things that the planning commission can still do, but the state statute says that they should have been disbanded after the ordinance was adopted. Additionally, 3 of the members of that committee have said that they would be very happy to work on the zoning board of appeals since we've had 2 vacancies since March.
that statute says that that should have been disbanded after that, but that did you say our ordinance still shows responsibilities for them?
Correct.
So does the ordinance, our ordinance need to be rewritten
That's
before
what-
this
that's
is
what this
disbanded?
is.
That's what this is,
That's
okay.
what this is, yeah. This isn't the disbanding, this is changing, amending our ordinance to give all of the responsibilities of the planning commission to the zoning board of
Okay,
appeals.
all right, thank you.
And just to be clear, I did take this appropriately through the planning commission and the zoning board of appeals. Both of them have voted unanimously for this.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you. So item H, discussion and vote to approve the dissolution of the Shelby County Zoning Planning Commission pursuant to 55 ILCS 5/5-12007. So G goes in, H. Motion by Martha, seconded by Don. Any more discussion? Hearing none. This is a vote to approve the dissolution of Shelby County Zoning Planning Commission. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Scott. Item 10, discussion and vote to approve the transfer of parcels from the County of Shelby as trustee to the new owners listed as, or new owner, yeah, as listed. So parcel number to Diane Hammond for the bid of $42.17. Is there a motion to approve?
Yes.
Let me read the motion, or read the parcel number. Jeremy makes the motion to approve Diane Hammond for the bid of $42.17 for the listed parcel number. Don seconds the motion. Any discussion?
Nobody seems to know what the address of this is, do they? Just a parcel number?
I have no idea.
Okay.
GIS maps, between right. You might be able to, but if you look at Shelby County GIS, Shelby County IL GIS, because it'll take you to Tennessee or Kentucky. Shelby County IL GIS maps. Type in parcel number in the search bar, it'll take you right to it.
It'd just be easier if you knew what the address was.
I know where she lives, but I don't know that that's her.
That's her.
Well, it could be a rural apartment too. They may not have an actual mailbox address. But I guess at 4217 would be a really small little parcel too. So anyway. Any other questions, comments on Diane Hammond for the bid of 4217? Hearing none, roll call please.
Emily?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Bain?
Yeah.
Brown?
Yes.
Cole? Edwards?
Yes.
Burnhaber?
Yes.
Hardy? Yes. Keenan?
Yes.
Morse?
Yes.
Nelson? Orman?
Yes.
Otis?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Sheff?
Yes.
Tate?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Just, I looked it up, just 421 West South 3rd Street in Shelbyville. 421 West South 3rd. 421 West South 3rd. According to the
Teresa,
deed.
for reference, I'm 710 on South Side. So where my house is, it'd be, I think, east of my house, a couple blocks on 3rd Street.
I'm trying to think if it's a lot.
But
I
that's
don't
not
think
where she lives.
No, that's not where she is. Okay, that's all I need.
Okay, so the next parcel to transfer would be the 2072 parcel to 30 Pack Jack for a bid of $827.01. Motion to approve.
Who's 30 back?
a group of people.
Sorry.
Are they here?
We're all kind of chuckling, I mean, all good. So, I don't know if it's an entity that's running under our LLC name, it's hard to say. You know, they're, it's a corporate name, it's hard to say. I don't know, Jessica made the agenda, you didn't.
They just skipped it, so, yeah. Maybe they're related to Panama.
I don't know if there's a digit.
Jack.
So anyway, parcel number 2072, 70-1 or 016 to Larry Jack, Rachel Penny. Do I have a motion? I don't have a motion yet. Motion to approve. Jeremy makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I just have a question.
You want to say it?
Well, I've tried to pull the parcel number twice and it's not pulling, so I'm wondering if there's an error.
No,
No?
that's probably minerals, because 7.2 is normally minerals, so.
Okay. So it wouldn't be on GIS, is what you're saying?
No.
Okay, thank you.
That's interesting.
Is there a second?
Oh, really?
Martin second the motion, so now we can move on to discussion. So
What is it?
So this, it sounds like there were mineral rights that was bought. Is that correct? On this,
So, yeah.
Because I tried to Google 30-pack Jack and can't find that.
Well, it comes up Gregory's Lodge. I mean, it may be just a coincidence that that's the same thing, but 30-pack.
So we're selling mineral rights to a crown, but
We're
not
not
the crown?
selling anything. Somebody had it and didn't pay the taxes on it, so it went to trustee auction.
So somebody, how do you own the mineral rights but don't own the ground but owe taxes on it?
I don't know, but normally 2072 is something that deals with minerals.
so you can purchase mineral rights.
I understand that, but then how do you incur property taxes on those mineral rights that then don't get paid?
I don't know if we're in that position. Don't know what we need.
I'm also curious, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is 30-Pack Jack a corporation? Is it an LLC? Is it, I mean, what is 30-Pack Jack?
Well, we don't have to approve the transfer of the parcel. We can always,
Can we ask for more information?
we can always vote
But these people make bids, closed bids, sealed bids to the trustee who acts on the county's behalf. So, and this essentially puts those parcels back on the tax rolls. So, I mean, they don't have to say who they are.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can do what you want, but that's just.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still just confused how mineral rights are on the
on the tax roll.
versus tax rolls anyway. I mean, I'm ignorant, I understand that, but I would like more information. I know it's $800, but I don't have a clue what it is or where it is or who they are.
If you look them up on Facebook, the person named B. Rise Severs, who identifies as 30-pack Jack, lives in Union Star, Kentucky, is a mechanical technician at Nucor Steel, Brandenburg.
I Googled it too, and there's a Matt, who's a plumber, that goes by 30-pack Jack, so.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a multifaceted name. I mean, he may not be the only one. 30-pack Jack.
I think, per what Jessica said, at the end of the day, they went to sealed bid, they went through the sealed bid process. Whoever 30 Jack is, or wherever this entity or person is from, they won the bid, and it goes back on the tax rolls. So I see no reason to inhibit the transfer of this to 30 Jack.
Yeah, this does invite a lot of questions. Mark, do you have a comment?
She pretty well covered.
Okay. So, any other questions before I call the vote? All right, here we go. Roll call, please.
Hamlin?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Vane.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Cole. Edwards. Yes. Burnhaver.
Yes.
Hardy.
Yes.
Keenan.
Yes.
Morse. Nelson.
Yes.
Orman.
Yes.
Otis.
Yes.
Ross.
No.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Kate.
Yes.
Wallace.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 16 ayes, 2 nays.
Item 11, the discussion and vote to approve continuing the ARPA $1 premium pay in health insurance payments if wellness check is completed for all non-union employees from September 1st through September 24 through November 30th, 24. Is there a motion to approve? Mark makes a motion, Chase seconds a motion. Is there any discussion on this?
I have a question. Where did the November 30th, 2024 come from?
That's the end of the,
It's the end of the fiscal year.
end of the fiscal year.
So what happens if,
We're going to start back at the beginning.
so we'll be back in here again and,
Here's back to the beginning.
I can answer that.
But also, after this year, you're going to be budgeted. So after this year, you're going to be budgeted, so it comes back.
I think that's what it is, they budgeted in.
Okay, any other questions, discussions, comments?
if this is stopped, will they get back pay back to, has it stopped? Have they been shorted any,
No, this is just to use the ARPA in lieu of the general fund.
has there been a pay period that they didn't get this money, is what I'm asking?
Shouldn't, no.
Okay, because we're past September 1st. Did it stop September the 1st?
Well, when was the payroll was this?
Payroll was this past Monday.
Yeah, so it shouldn't have stopped.
Okay, but I'm asking if it did, are you going to go back to September 1st and give them back their
Well,
dollar?
I mean, so this would be a department head, you know, she can choose to pay her employee whatever, whoever else is here, you know, handle their employees however, because they are non-union employees. This is the obligation of the board to use the ARPA, starting at the time that it expired through the end of the fiscal year. So what department heads have done it on their own is beyond me, I don't know.
Okay.
Any questions, comments? Yes, sir. All right, hearing none, roll call please.
Hamlin.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Vane.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Burnhaver.
Yes.
Hardy.
Yes.
Keenan.
Yes.
Morse.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Orman.
Yes.
Otis.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Chuck.
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, item 12 is committee reports. Anybody in committees want to report anything?
Well, we don't know what the weather's gonna be, hopefully we won't get that great big storm, but the airport's supposed to have the fly-in, drive-in car show on Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock. And the young gal who was taking flying lessons, just passed and received everything, she's all done.
Anyone on committee reports? Okay. Moving on, chairman updates. So, in the process of IDOT and public transportation and audits, I have been in communication with IDOT, which has been in communication with our our public transportation provider. So kind of bring you up to speed, we are in a 6-county conglomeration. We are the grantee for IDOT funds, basically pass through this county, they go to the provider, and transportation is provided to people who need it. I've been in conversation with IDOT to start drafting the documents for the provider, or for the, what was it looking for? Basically, the 6-county group that we're in, to take Shelby County as being the grantee and make it a different county. With the concerns raised by Heather, this is it's not a done deal. They are drafting the paperwork. It has to be approved by the board. There's several steps that have to go along the way. But nonetheless, I have put the steps, or I have made the efforts to put the steps in process to start getting it to where there is a different county that is grantee versus Shelby County. So that will be coming down the pipe. Be thinking about it. There's a few big caveats that I want to touch on. One of them is services will not change. So it's no different than Montgomery County or Cumberland County or Moultrie County or any other of the counties that are that use CEFS public transportation services. Rather than us being the pass-through for the funds, it will just be a different county. The buildings will stay there, the vehicles will stay there, the drivers will stay there. It just runs through a different county. So, but with our audit situation, I thought it was far from responsible to try to maintain that as anything we can do with being responsible for those grant funds. So that's one important update I need to bring this speed on. As discussed previously, I will contact Member Brown the first thing tomorrow night. Let him know that the draft was approved, so it is now the final audit, and to get started on 23. Other than that, we move on to chair appointments.
Did we determine who's going to audit Cameron's office?
Ma'am, I got that. I hear you.
Yeah.
What was that?
State Attorney's Office audit.
I can give an update on that very briefly if you like.
Go ahead.
I contacted, I believe they're called Hot and Rot now, used to be Moshiaki Brown and Cool here in town, and asked, he was supposed to get back to me in time for me to give an update on that tonight. He did not. He's probably busy, so, but I am moving on that.
Ryan, did you remember reading Cindy's response to Bill's budget was $20,000 and by March, Member Brown is not doing it. So, okay. Chairman appointments. Seeking approval of the board to appoint Daniel Byers to Commissioner of Ocean East Drainage Township District Trustee for a 3-year term. Everybody can do so. Mark makes a motion, a second. Carol makes a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next is Mark Myers, Commissioner of Combined Drainage District Number 2 of Tower Hill for a 3-year term. Motion. Mark Bennett makes a motion, to a second. Carol makes a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next is James Brandon for Commissioner of Union Drainage District Number 1, Townships of Flat Branch and Assumption. Is there a motion to Mark? Is there a second? Martha seconds the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next, we're seeking Clarksburg and Shelbyville Township Drainage District number 1 for a 3-year term. Motion to approve. Carol makes the motion to approve. Dante seconds it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 15, old business. Colonel.
Floyd Storm passed away on August the 27th, and he served the county board for 32 years. I just thought we should give him some kind of recognition for time served. They've not yet had his services yet.
Any old business? Okay, hearing none. After the approval of ARPA expenditures, we'll have maybe a change in the update for ARPA. I don't have any changes as of current. Item 17, approval of claims. The motion to approve the claims. Martha makes the motion to approve the claims. Is there a second? Second by Dante. Any discussion? Were the Bedford Brown in the bills? The claims for Bedford Brown?
Oh.
Why were we not in the claims?
The state's attorney said that it would take a court order for those to be paid.
Is that the bill for the audit?
No, that's the bill for the legal fees. So, item 33 in the engagement letters, in the event we are requested or authorized by the county or are required by the government regulations, subpoena, or other legal process to produce a document or a personnel as witness with respect to the news of the county, so long as we are not a party to the proceeding in which the information is sought, reimburse us for our professional time and expenses as well as fees and expenses of our counsel incurred responding to such requests. So that is directly in our engagement letter. And I find it very troubling that legal counsel advised that she advised that we pull the bill because she's conflicted directly to this bill because the subpoenas were issued by her. So before we incur more legal bills, I would recommend that those bills be added to, or I'd like to make an amendment that those bills be added to the claims of this month. Is there a second?
Who made the motion?
I made the motion to add the bills.
You're plural. What bills are you talking about?
The claims.
What's it for?
Legal fees.
To who?
Point of order.
To who?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Point of order.
I'm part of the board and I can ask.
I didn't say you couldn't ask, Teresa. I said the gallery does not need to be asking the questions.
Because there was a plural on the bills and I just want to know.
I said I have no issue with you asking.
Mr. Chairman, I've got some questions when we get to discussion.
Go ahead, Henry.
Well, first of all, how much is the bill?
It was right around 8,500.
Okay, 85-ish. And it's, do we have the invoice? We have it, we're in possession of that bill?
Yeah, I signed the claims and turned them into the post office.
Mr. Chairman,
Where?
would you please repeat that?
Sorry?
I couldn't hear what you said.
So we have, the bill was submitted, I signed the claims, submitted to the post office.
Okay, so we have the bill, it's for about $8,500, and it goes to whom?
Benjamin Brown.
Oh, okay.
The whole $8,500 is for Benford Brown?
For what?
Would go to their attorneys, wouldn't
For legal fees.
Well, it would go to them, and then they would pay.
So, an invoice was turned in as a claim, and I am under the assumption, even though I was not there at the finance committee meeting, but who decided to pull the claim and not send it to the finance committee?
I was told the claims were not to be submitted by legal counsel. She said it would take a court order. So this is a discussion that y'all need to have with her.
Okay. But my point to start with is a claim was submitted to you to put into the folders of the finance committee.
And I sent it to my legal counsel, who told me it would take a court order and to not do anything with them.
Okay, my next question is that standard procedure, or is that a question for the finance committee to start with?
Since
Do
these
you
claims
question all bills that go to us?
No, but I did question these for legal fees, and I asked her, because the judge himself said there would be no sanctions. So I asked her, what am I to do with these bills? And she said, nothing, it would take a court order to pay those. So this is a discussion that you need to have with the state's attorney as legal counsel.
Well, I guess...
And here again, Mark, I'm going to bring the fact that I asked for counsel when she conflicted herself with me on something. She denied that, so again, I will ask for counsel on this because she's conflicted. She incurred legal fees that was from our auditor. So this claim, there's 3 invoices, there's 3 claims to the county from our auditor for legal fees, according to their engagement letter. We encourage them to have to take legal action to respond to the subpoena. So,
Well, my first reaction to this is any claim that's submitted still should have been viewed by the finance committee, since that was who it was being turned in to be reviewed. And if there's any concerns of...
Point of order, please. I can't hear what's being said for the noise in the back of the room.
it's rude and inconsiderate. Please be quiet.
I'm not stating it should have been paid or not. It's just that the claim was put in, and it should have been put in the finance committees. And if there was question to it, I would understand Jessica adding to the definition to the finance committee of whether it should have been paid or not, but that it should not have been up to her directly, whether that's presented to the finance committee. So in this case, we've had somebody pick and choose what the finance committee sees.
Bobby,
Yes, do.
I'm not opposed necessarily to paying the bill. I have concerns voting on something that is in direct opposition to what our legal counsel has advised us. And I'm just asking if we can maybe extend this so that the people who are voting on it have an option, a chance to kind of discuss and with legal counsel, with someone, to figure out where we stand on this.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I found the So, here again, our legal counsel is conflicted. So, we need counsel beyond her on this.
So this is the first I've heard of this, and I'm not comfortable voting on it. I mean, I can abstain, so I guess it doesn't matter, but I'm not comfortable voting on something that I don't know about.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a couple of questions of the clerk?
Go ahead.
Did legal counsel issue that statement to you in writing?
Jeremy, this is a public, we want to hear what you say.
I'm sorry, I asked if legal counsel issued that statement to the clerk in writing. And she said no.
No, I sent her the bills. I believe she contacted the treasurer and asked who submitted the bills, and the treasurer said she had just put them in the claims box outside the clerk's door. Because the state's attorney didn't recognize Bobby's signature on those, and she asked me who signed them. And she said, you're to do, don't do anything with those. So,
When you had this conversation with her, did she cite any kind of law or court
she
case?
said the judge said there would be no sanctions. So, I don't know that she's seen the contract, but,
Mr. Chairman, this is not a bill for sanctions. This is a bill for legal fees that were incurred by our auditor. We technically, as a board, have not received legal counsel not to pay bills incurred to this board. I don't see why we're not paying our bills. I don't understand why our bills are not being presented to the Finance Committee to go through the proper channels where we could then seek, as a board, legal advice.
Right, so near as I can tell, the invoices would have totaled $84.39.75. So I was really close to my calculation, $8,500 off my head.
That was $84.39.75.
$84.39.75.
Thank you.
So it was for, so invoice number 18637, invoice number 3206, and then invoice number 000417. And three different invoices, one was from Denver, one was from Canoli, and one was from Nesky. So, Nesky also. So totaling $84.39.75. So either way, I'm making a motion to add those bills to the claim. Laura seconded.
Can we discuss?
Right?
There isn't an attorney sitting in this room right now. Why would you pay those bills now without talking to your representation tomorrow or whenever? Why would you do that? She's conflicted. And your comment about she wouldn't provide you with counsel, I've never been provided for counsel, and I've been charged with 2 felonies. So I pay my own attorney fees for that. So I don't know why why anybody would have appointed you for any counsel, because nobody's offered to pay my attorney bills.
Well, I don't know what you've asked for, what you didn't ask for, that's between you and whoever. Whether it be.
Are you saying you asked for counsel and you were denied
Yes.
in writing?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. So, but anyway, why would this group of people, without an attorney sitting in this room, agree to pay something that our attorney has told us not to pay? That's my question to everybody. You vote however you want.
Laura.
Didn't you just read the contract that we signed with the auditor
Right.
that obligates us to that when we agreed to the contract?
Yeah, that
It
is,
obligates us to pay for legal fees.
that's paragraph 33 of the engagement letter, and then,
Could you reread that, please? If you've got it there.
yeah, let's see,
Is that an agreement with the board or with you, Bobby?
sorry,
Was that an agreement with you or with the board?
that was the board that when we hired, we signed an engagement letter. So, it's paragraph 33.
It's the engagement letter from when we hired Benford Brown in the first
To
place.
do the audit.
To do the audit.
Before, I think it was probably before you guys were on the board, you were on the board.
This all has to do with the audit?
It's in the contract, the initial employment contract with Benford and Brown, is what he's referring to.
No, we hired in February 23. This
Was it 23? Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't remember.
so there was also paragraph 33, and somewhere in there also is.
Bobby, can you please ask them to quit talking so we can hear you?
Yeah, I gotta back up Martha.
I mean, this is just.
If they don't shut up, they can leave. And I'm closer to them than Martha is. It's hard to hear what's going on. It's hard to make decisions. These people won't shut up.
We can't hear Jeremy at all.
Please. Wow. So, paragraph 33, in the event we are requested or authorized by the county or required by government regulation, subpoena, or other legal process to produce our documents or personnel as witness to respect of our engagements, the county will, so long as we are not party to the proceedings in which the information is sought, reimburse us. The county will reimburse us for our professional time expenses as well as the fees and expenses of our counsel incurred in responding to such requests. So subpoena is directly included in that paragraph.
It's explicitly stated.
10.
Can I ask what exactly the attorneys did? What was the controversy? What led to the auditor needing to hire an attorney?
So the state's attorney subpoenaed me and
Our state's attorney?
correct.
Okay.
Subpoenaed the auditor, okay, for the first and second draft.
Okay.
Because at the time, after, well, I don't know when she subpoenaed the auditors, but it was somewhere around the last board meeting. Or I shot it right ahead. So she subpoenaed our auditors, and of course, if you take and offer legal proceeding, you have to respond with a legal action. That's how you do that. So with the subpoena came legal fees that we incurred, they incurred because of us, or because of the county representative.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
And I'm looking for the clause in here that says basically we have 10 days to dispute this, and we're well outside of 10 days.
Could I ask another question, Mr. Chairman?
Jeremy?
The draft of the audit that we just approved tonight was what number draft? Was that the fourth draft? Third draft?
Technically, it's 4.
Okay, and what we got presented last month over a video call would have been the third?
And then 2.
Two.
Three would
What
come in.
you have on your email is 3.
Yes.
And it is,
Because
by
of that.
rights, it's 4.
Okay.
It's not a hill of difference, but it is by rights, number 4.
So there was a subpoena issued for what we got presented last month.
It was for
That was the second
1
draft.
and 2.
And that was included in the subpoena, what we got presented last month.
The subpoena was for 1 and 2.
And we were
And
presented.
we looked at number 2.
So there was a subpoena for something that was going to be a public document immediately after the meeting.
All except for 1.
Well, except for one.
It's still draft.
Right, second draft would have been a public document right after the meeting, but not the first one. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Why weren't we all given draft 1? Why weren't we not given draft 2 as a board, as the board? And why did all this have to happen to even get the draft out there and stuff? I don't understand. As a board member,
Please.
as a board member sitting here, why were they not given to every board member sitting here?
So, you know not what you clap of.
What?
So.
I'm serious,
So,
as a board
back-
member,
back
I
in-
am
factor in-
serious.
Factor in Whitley, how many draft audits did you get? You got the one we approved. When Weston County did it, how many did you get? You got the one we approved. Because there was numerous meetings prior to those draft presentations. You never saw the rest of them.
Who were in those meetings? Because I didn't know anything about them.
Exactly.
So, but
The
I'm
whole
just
board
saying.
is not, in those conversations, whether it was Bruce, whether it was Brian, whether it was myself, those were all conversations that were had in a close-knit room. They weren't public meetings. You go through the drafts, you go through different managerial issues. It's not a public meeting to look at the first draft. It never has been. So I'm sorry that you don't feel that way, but it's never
I
been
do
that
feel
way.
that way because those other boards, I was a member of that board and I never felt like I was excluded from that board on purpose. And the first draft that came out, the first time I read it, it was published by somebody else. First draft. Yeah, it was given out and put out. The board didn't even receive it. So I asked for the first draft, and I went to Erica's office, and she was having trouble, but she finally could print it to where I could see it and stuff. I don't understand why everything's such a big secret. I don't understand. These board members, you're elected by the people who voted for you, and you represent them, and you meet them on the street, and all this chaos and stuff could be done away with if everybody was transparent and honest with each other sitting here in these positions.
Teresa, did you vote for a 22 board member back in 22?
Did I-
22 member board. Did you vote to keep it a 22 member board? No, it's very relevant because that means that this whole group of people, now everybody expects me to distribute every stitch of information that I get 22 times, every time.
You
And
got a
there's
thing
stuff-
on your email that just automatically goes to the board, the full board. You got it.
There's times when there's just, it creates more confusion, just like what Jeremy just brought up. Do we approve 4 or do we approve 3? By rights, we approve the 4th version. That's why it says draft on it. That's why the agenda says draft on it.
When you handed me this, I said, this is the 4th.
Right.
This is draft number 4 when you handed this to me. I'm not confused about what numbers are what. I know which numbers are what.
But you take 22 members, and there will be massive confusion in 1 and 2. Martha?
I'm going to liken this too and say that it's no different than when a committee works on a policy. Members of that committee work up a rough draft. Sometimes they email it back and forth to each other to tweak, to amend, and then it goes to a committee meeting. And then in that committee meeting, it gets discussed, and it may get amended and tweaked again, or everybody think about it, sleep on it, bring it back to the next meeting, and it gets amended. And there could be 1 draft, there could be 2 drafts, there could be 3 drafts. But the draft that comes to the full board for vote and approval is the final draft. That committee doesn't send out every single draft that is processed in that, throughout that entire process. So trying to send every single little thing to every single board member, it's not realistic. It's not efficient. And it's not the.
Everybody should be able to see if they want to.
Mr. Chairman, point of
Let me clear the air real quick.
You said you wouldn't make. You said you'd
So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to have Mr. Bain removed from the gallery.
I second.
Motion and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
So the motion has been made to remove Mr. Bain, the second by Tim.
Order started.
Point of order.
See y'all. Give the guy another 85 bucks.
bills.
That'd be a genius move. One down, one go.
We're on approval of paying the claims. We've digressed into some crazy conversation about an audit draft and what one we're on. I'd like to get back to the point of order of item number 17.
So, Lauren.
To his point, it was only amendment to add those bills back in.
Right, so my amendment was to add the bills in.
For clarification, I would like to have the totals of invoice 18637, 3206, 000417, please.
Sonny, would you say those numbers one more time, please?
18637 to Denver Drone,
what it's for.
Yeah, so it's able to differ ground.
Right?
For 6 additional billing for responding to subpoenas for documentation related to financial and single audit for the year ended in August 31st, 2022. So they have an hourly rate at 6 hours, and 6 hours at $250 an hour, totaling $1,500.
So could you put Bedford Brown was charging us $6.50 an hour?
$250. 6 hours.
Okay, sorry, that's right.
Invoice number 3026 to Connolly Law Office.
For,
Review motions filed by Attorney Hamlin, call to Attorney Hamlin team meetings with Alyssa and Tim. Those are all $450 an hour, and there is roughly there is 0.64 hours total, so that was $274.50.
so who is that person representing?
Bedford Brown.
Okay.
The last one, invoice number 000417. This is to Nestle Allswing Law Group. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different entries across 4 or 5 different days. Anyway, this is all billed at $6.50 an hour.
I'll email what he says.
And there's a court reporter fee on there as well for the transcript. And that invoice totals $66.55.25.
And who is that attorney representing?
Bedford Brown.
They had 2 attorneys?
So there was the attorney, and then there was some review.
Can I have the amount, please, again?
$66.55.25. $274.50 and $1,500. So I can look at it for $475.
$8,429.75.
Right. Good call. If I carried one, I should have carried one. So, motion in the second to amend the bills to include the Brown bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
No.
No.
Everyone's raising their hand. Carol, Tim, Teresa, Tad, Brent, Julie. Flag.
For the record, can you tell me if that last amount of money that we just paid, was that Mr. Handler? Is that the firm he works for?
The 66.55? Yes.
You just paid Handler? Yep, you did.
Well, I'm just not comfortable with paying bills that nobody on the committee has reviewed.
And when I did ask my legal counsel,
That's not on you,
I
that's just
said,
paying in general.
what am I supposed to do with
Yeah.
these bills? She said, no, because I said, should I turn? She said, no, nothing. They cannot be paid without
You did
court.
the right thing.
So once again, this is,
Yeah, it's not on, I'm not saying it's on you, it's just, that they need to be reviewed.
So how many days were in?
5 nays.
5 days. So now the bills will be back up for approval as amended. Any further discussion on the bills?
There
So that passed.
were 6 nays, weren't there?
Who?
I believe there was more than 5.
Julie, Carol, Tim, Morse, Teresa, Clay, Tad. Okay. 6.
If we don't, if we're a month late, they're gonna charge us a late fee, right? And we can get them paid.
They already approved it, we're done.
Yeah.
Well, the amendment was approved.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
The bills aren't paid.
We're gonna approve them.
So, Martha?
Were the records noted when Tad arrived? I'm just curious.
Yes, I noted it.
All right, thank you.
So back to the main motion of, do we have the main motion?
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills?
I made the motion and Don
Martha
seconded.
and Don seconded.
Okay, so Martha and Don made a motion to approve the claims, now as amended. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Hanley,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Bain,
No.
Brown,
Yes.
Cole,
No.
Edwards,
No.
Bernhaber,
Yes.
Hardy,
No.
Keenan,
Yes.
Mayhaw, Morse, Nelson,
Yes.
Orman,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Shuff,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wallace, Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 12 ayes, 7 nays.
Okay. Public comment? There's 5 minutes. 5 minutes, no yield time, so we'll start public comment right here.
If you don't already, you soon will have in your hand a Facebook post from September the 4th, where our county treasurer felt compelled to write regarding FOIA requests she received from myself, Tricia Miller, and Chris Bain. We were attempting to determine how the Edgar County watchdogs were able to receive a copy of the fiscal year 2022 draft before most of the board members. In this post, Ms. Fernhaber alludes to the fact that the watchdogs requested the audit draft through a verbal FOIA. This naturally led me to question the validity of her statement in the post that there is such a thing as a verbal FOIA. Under the provisions of 5 ILCS 140 Freedom of Information Act, it indeed states that a public body may choose to honor verbal FOIA requests. What it does not do is indicate that these verbal requests require the person in charge of a public body to document them. This raised a red flag in my mind. Without documentation, should someone or an entity decide to file a lawsuit regarding information that he, she, or they had obtained through a verbal FOIA,
what type of proof would exist? Another red flag that presented itself to me was the fact that, historically, certain watchdog organizations have sued townships, counties, and other government entities for failure to provide the information they requested through the Freedom of Information Act and OMA violations. These court cases, which were recently listed in articles, resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue for certain nonprofit entities. Why then would our county treasurer hand over our county documents? Furthermore, Ms. Fernhaber has refused to give public information from her office through verbal FOIAs made by board members and county residents, informing requesters to send a FOIA. Yet she willingly hands over our public records to two men who claim to be political activists that do not live or pay taxes here. Does anyone else in this room find that at least a little alarming? This is the second time an elected official has named myself, Mr. Bain, and Mrs. Miller, as well as others, in a Facebook post. The first time having been when Mr. Orman called us out, among other county residents, for FOIA requests. You will also recall Mr. Orman called our sheriff, supervisor of assessments, and our county clerk corrupt in that post. While he claims to have luxuries of the chair, I don't believe social media defaming is one of those luxuries. In my opinion, both of these posts were an attempt to smear the names of good people and to suppress our First Amendment rights, as well as negate our statutory right to FOIA the public bodies of our county government. We are trying to seek some facts and truth, or if you need me to, I can shout that in all caps. I emailed all the FOIA officers for the county and asked these two questions. One, would you accept a verbal FOIA request either in person or via a telephone call? Two, if the answer to the above question is yes, do you feel it is your responsibility to document a verbal FOIA request? The responses I received were varied. Some departments indicated that, as arms of the judicial system, their offices are not subject to FOIA. Other offices indicated that when they receive verbal FOIA requests, they document them through the use of a form or by writing down the information requested in their responses. Could I have another minute or two, please?
No, we got a lot of people who want to speak on it,
I would like to implore the legislative committee that consists of Mr. Williams, Ms. Martha Fernhaber, Mrs. Edwards, Mr. Keenan, and Mr. McCormick to discuss and recommend a policy that would set forth guidelines for all county public bodies susceptible to FOIA. That policy would then be presented to the full board for discussion and a vote. With set parameters, all departments will have guidelines to adhere to ensure that FOIA requests are documented. In order to protect our county's best interests, it is my belief that such a policy is required. Thank you for your time.
Okay, somebody comment. Go ahead.
So I hear as I come in this evening for public comment that there's now 4 drafts. 4. I don't think I've ever heard of such a ridiculous number, first off. I have never seen someone go to such lengths that a couple of you have gone to avoid the other people in the room. Now, some of them may be buffaloed by this nonsense, okay? But you work for these people out here. We have a right to know what's in those drafts. 1, 2, or 4. You went to court because you didn't want to give these people out here and the people in Shelby County the right to know what was going on with their money. We pay taxes that, in fact, pay you to sit in that chair. You had no intention of giving that up. You still haven't given it up. Now, why? I don't know, but your constituents want to know. Mine, that I'm coming to this November, want to know. They want to know why you think that you don't have to turn that over. And when you asked Ruth what you should do with those first and second drafts, what did she say, Bobby?
When I asked you what to do.
Yeah, when you asked her what to do, you said, should I just turn these over? What did she say? You surely sought some sort of legal counsel.
No, I requested legal counsel because she served me a subpoena.
So you didn't talk to her about this, though, since she is the board's legal counsel. You never made one phone call and said, hey, this is a misunderstanding. I have drafts 1 and 2. Made up a lie that you forgot. It didn't go out of my outbox. You didn't talk to her at all. You didn't feel a need to.
She filed a subpoena.
Okay, back up. She filed a subpoena because you didn't turn over what belonged to all of us. In fact, it belonged to these people up in the chairs, most of us, right? You ended up in court because you didn't want to do what you were expected to do, because you were sneaking around again. That's what you constantly do. So I just want to be clear. People that are watching at home need to understand. You wouldn't let the board members have draft 1 or 2. You snuck around and we caught you at it. The draft was reduced by a 4th, wasn't it? Between 1 and 2. And then there was a 3rd draft that I think, but I'm not certain, I think you were working from the other night in that meeting, budget meeting, which was all a complete menagerie of word salad. But you've now admitted to 4 drafts and a couple of meetings. Where were these other people in these meetings? They have a right to know what's going on too, don't they? Don't their constituents have a right? I think you have a real problem with reality. You do not control everything that goes on here. Your tenure needs to be over. You are doing things that are grossly unethical. Grossly. And you know it. But you just keep falling on your own sword. I don't know what makes you think that we all didn't have a clue that you were going to go get Hamlin as your attorney. I mean, that's funny. But it's not funny to turn that bill in and expect the taxpayers to pay for it. What you should have done if you had any ethics at all, don't give it a look. We all know what you did. Somebody turned in a bill to pay Hamlin, and if you'd have turned those drafts over, this wouldn't be an issue, right? If you'd have turned them over, there would no. Don't you say a word. No. This is my 5 minutes. You didn't turn them over, and that's why you got subpoenaed. You don't want the people to know the truth. You kept it from them. You kept it from all of us and the taxpayers in this county. You don't want them to know that you lied, and you did. You cut that draft down by a 4th, and the board members still haven't seen it. Still haven't seen it, and then you try to run through a 4th draft tonight. What are you thinking? This seems to be a recurring thing with you.
I explained to you how we got before. That's all you know. All right, I'll try to comment. Go ahead.
Yes, I attended that budget meeting, and you were discussing the draft in that budget meeting. Was that the draft that you passed tonight?
The draft that we were talking through
In just the budget meeting recently?
Was the second, because that was, it had all the findings in it.
Can you speak up just a little bit, please?
Well, the second and third were the same. So if somebody was looking at the third and the second, they were the same in the findings. We were discussing the findings.
You were discussing the findings of the one that you just passed tonight. Correct? Did everybody sitting in that budget meeting have a copy of that draft that you were discussing? No. So you were having a discussion without the people sitting in the meeting having a copy of what they were supposed to be discussing. How right is that? How good is that? It's not. How can they have a discussion when they don't have the information? You had it, but they didn't have it.
No, we didn't have the information that we needed.
Can you stop my time, please? You're speaking.
I'm answering the question.
Martha, you got real
No,
mad about
I
people
still- I
interrupting
get
you,
my
but
time.
you're doing the same thing to
Austin, you're interrupting her, please. Go ahead, Tricia.
Are you not going to speak, or are you were answering my question? Were you stopping my time so you could answer it?
So I'll pause your time. Whether they were looking at the third or the second is irrelevant. The findings were exactly the same. They did not change. Nothing changed in that from the second, the third, and the fourth. Matter of fact, they changed from the first, second, third, and fourth. The findings did. So the fact that we were discussing the findings in a budget meeting has had zero bearing on whether or not there was a second, third, or fourth version. Go ahead.
Okay, the other things that were concerning to me in that budget meeting is that you were discussing having a police escort to put the time clock in the health department. You also were discussing if people were not complying to your policy to cut their budgets. I don't think you could do that. I don't even think you could say that, because it's a threat to their budgets, any perceived threat, if they didn't follow your policy. The other thing I believe that was said in that is that you were going to go around the department heads, start going to employees and saying, hey, don't listen to your department head, clock in anyway. You're asking them to commit insubordination when you were going to go around the department heads. So in that one meeting, we were talking about police escorts, cutting their budget if they didn't follow your policy, and we were talking about, it was like I stumbled into another country. You don't do things like that, for goodness sakes.
So if you listen to the meeting, which you were there, we mitigated all of those issues. We didn't decide we were going to send a police escort to put a time clock on the wall.
I can't hear you, Mr. Orman. Can you speak up?
We did not decide to make a recommendation to use a police escort for putting a time clock on the wall. We did not, or we did discuss the possibility of how to manipulate a budget, and then we figured out that that is outside the purview of the board, because you have to supply the funds to operate an office. And whatever else you said, we mitigated several of those things. It was just, whatever you're driving at has been discussed, has been put down, and is nowhere close to reality. Go ahead, though. I'll let you continue.
The point is that I think reasonable people would never be discussing those kind of things. And I don't consider any of you really, a few of you, sorry, with the exception of about 4. Occasionally a 5th chimes in, but maybe that's because he's allowed to. I don't know. But I don't consider you reasonable at all. And I don't consider what you were discussing reasonable. And I think it's a shame when you're talking about they either do what I say, or we're cutting policy, or we're cutting their budgets. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Because when you're cutting their budgets, when you're even discussing that, cutting their budgets, who else does that impact? Not just their offices. It impacts the county. The county. We depend on that stuff too. But it's all punishment. That is what I've seen from day one, from so many of you, is punishment. How can we make people pay? That's not a good attitude. It's supposed to be, how can we serve you? Not how can we punish people. You're supposed to be public servants. And I've not seen that. When I hear servant hearts, no, you don't have any. Matter of fact, there's a few times I've questioned if some of you even have hearts. And I hate to feel that way. Because I like to believe there's good in everybody. And I look for it. And I called many of you in the beginning, trying to find 1 ounce of good. And I haven't found it yet, except in about 4 board members. Thank you.
I have listened to you tonight at this meeting and other meetings, and then read things you posted on social media, shared on social media. You have lied so much, Bobby, that you are not keeping your lies straight on what you're saying. That's what people are trying to tell you. You know, come December, you will no longer have the luxury of the chair. We can guarantee you that. So you would think that you would try to, maybe you're past the point of trying to make things right, but you realize your people in Windsor are watching. Your district is watching and asking a lot of questions if they did not back in March. You would think you would get out and explain stuff to people. This is people, they're asking questions. Christine, Tricia, they're asking questions because your people are asking them. They're watching, and you have lied so much tonight based off what everybody has saved of what you've posted and shared all over social media, you're not keeping it straight. Just know that. Win or lose, no matter what the outcome is in the November election, you will no longer be sitting in that chair in December. Your people here that's been backing you up this whole time, half of them are gone. They weren't re-elected in March. They won't be here to back you up anymore. So you think you would try to make things right, to work with the people that's been trying to work with you if you do get re-elected in November. But you have not tried once to work with these guys. I'm done.
I think, you don't have much transparency about it. What are we going to do about the farm? Don't you think people should know? I mean, you snuck around and you got someone to appraise it and have sort of an idea of where the lines are. You told us we couldn't farm, but we can. You know, what happened was last year the board voted to have Kenny Compton farm. And he farmed. Did anybody stop him? Of course they didn't. You can't stop him. Kirk can't stop him. Jeremy can't stop him. Mitchell can't stop him. Nobody can stop us from selling or from farming the farm. That's just all the big stories that I brought to you through probably Kirk Allen. But it's not true. Senator McClure came out and gave us a report that we can farm. Now, we do not need a specific public purpose. No one does. No other county does. I don't know why you keep going over and over this. You're not for the community. You're for Kirk Allen. You don't care what we think. They never hear. Hardly care what the people think. That's the reason Mitchell and got beat so bad. Because you don't represent us, you're representing someone else. I don't know why you don't get it, but, I've said you watch and all those guys, you helped our state's attorney, our previous one, move in. I watched you do it. You've been behind these guys ever since you've been here, ever since they've been here. Martha got beat because she wouldn't represent us. She got beat by a huge amount. So what you're going to do, if you keep doing this, you're going to lose, everyone on this board is going to lose their seat in the next 2 years. Because right now, Halbrook's not in charge anymore. The Shelby County United got behind 23 candidates. We won 22 offices in the election, in the primary election. So do you really think the people think that you're representing us? No, they don't. Because you got beat so bad that it was crazy. I won by over, let's see, what did I run by? 58%? I don't know. The system now, it was crazy. I had like 72 to 28%. So, people, they enjoy listening to me. Everywhere I go, I get compliments on how you're trying to protect our community. I don't think the bulk of you really care anything about the community. But that's the way it appears to me. The community has you figured out, but so your chances of winning in the fall are getting slimmer and slimmer as you go. You don't have any transparency about anything. I mean, you don't have anything about the audit. You don't have anything about the farm. I mean, these people are all good people. I live in this community. I've lived here all my life. I enjoy this community. The bulk of you here can't find one good thing to say about Shelby County. Not ever. I mean, is it that bad? I mean, Martha, do you hate everyone? I've never heard one compliment from you about anything, or your sister. So your sister says we have to have time call. What I want to do, I want to see her try to force Steve Boulay to come after her, because that's what's going to happen if she doesn't pay his employees. You can't pass a resolution that overrides the state law and the union contracts. I don't know why you think you can, but it's administrative needs. I mean, do you think that overrides everything else? Do you think that if you pass a resolution that overrides the union and the state law? I mean, Kirk has you thinking that if you pass a resolution, that overrides it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't create a law. You're not a legislative body. All you're doing is trying to approve things, and some of them aren't really right. So I guess that's about all I have to say.
Anybody comment? Go ahead.
Carol, thank you for the respect for that gentleman that passed. I think instead of moving to the next thing, we should have done a moment of silence. I thought that's what you were asking. Jessica, I think you do a great job. I think asking you that question once tonight about what you did was enough. You didn't have to be pounded 15 times of why you did what you did. I haven't seen or heard any complaints of your job. And Bobby, I felt really sorry for you today when I saw this on the agenda. So I'm a real emotional person. But don't you want people to like you and come here and need your help? And these people here, there's a whole bunch of you over here that you can't stand the attorney. Is it because she's female? Is that what it is? I mean, come on, she's here. Ask her the questions. Hanlon was never here. You guys never had a problem with that. But just ask her. You never had a nice thing to say. She's not here tonight. I don't know why. That's none of my business. That's one night, though, after she started. Just, can't you be kind? Just be kind. I really felt sorry for you today. I really did. And that's just what I wanted to say. And I think Carol got a little disrespect tonight, but I would have given a moment of silence for the gentleman. Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear Carol. I heard she said something about Floyd.
God was on the board for 32 years, passed away. I think she was asking for a moment of silence, that's all.
Public comment. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was at the budget meeting the other night, and the audit stuff kind of perplexes me. It sounds like we're paying, or we're going to pay $8,500 for a situation which could have very easily been avoided. It sounds like some other members of the full board were left out on some things. And I think you tried to explain it as it's hard to disseminate that to 22 members of the board, but we have a county clerk. She's a full-time employee. You can give the information, and I think even the auditor said that his excuse of why it didn't go to the full board when the presentation was being given is he said, I gave it to the board president, and typically that's the function, and for the board president to disseminate the information to the members of the board. And by your own admission, anything the auditor points out, we want to try to rectify and make right going forward. So I know we can't change what happened, but we ought to at least take note of what happened and do a better job on that. The other thing that seems like it needs to be addressed is the other night I asked about, because the sheriff had said many times that he's asked about negotiations, who he's supposed to be negotiating with. His contract was coming up, that the department needed to get that ironed out and negotiated, and he's not got any response from the county, and I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think somebody that puts their life on the line for the citizens of this county should get no response. I think we need to try to fix that situation and learn from that and move forward. That's all I got.
Public comment? Kurt?
I've got several comments I'd like to make. The questions that I'm going to ask, I'm not looking for an answer right now, or even you don't have to respond to me, just something to think about. Jake, the county board is a legislative body, just so you know.
What was that, Kurt?
The county board is a legislative body. You said they weren't, but they are.
Point of order. This is supposed to be corrected.
What's the point of order?
You're supposed to address the board.
You betcha. I'm going to address the board. Mr. Jake's comment was incorrect. You all know you're a legislative body. Does that work for you, Tad? From the audit, the county did not amend the budget during the year ended August 31st, 2022. That's a quote. I want to thank the board, past and present, who listened and followed the law on budget amendments. Prior boards routinely made end-of-year amendments to make the audit look better, basically hiding the over-budgeted expenditures. Again, thank you for following the law. Where's the point of order, Mr. Mayhaw? On the subject of over budget, the adopted budget is the contract with the people. The audit reflects 6 funds that expenditures exceeded the appropriation. One office was over budget $241,000. A simple solution to prevent that in the future is confirmation that there are sufficient funds still available in the budget before approving the expenditures. Next topic. Since a county board member is subject to very strict limitations on holding another office, as only those outlined in the law, is the county board making plans for a replacement dive commander once Mr. Pritchard takes his oath of office in December? Because he can't do both. It's a conflict. While a select few have shown their outrage on what they believe county funds should be earning, does it bother anyone that donations to the dive team had not turned into the county from October 2020 through June of 23 resulted in a 2% charge for those funds being held outside of county control, which is inconsistent with state law? So not only was zero interest being earned on dive team donations, those who donated actually had 2% of their donation lost to a private entity rather than going towards the intended purpose, the dive team. It's sad that it took a FOIA lawsuit to uncover that. On the subject of FOIA, anyone who actually believes a liability is created from a verbal FOIA request does not understand the legal system. A requester has to prove they submitted a FOIA request. Without that proof, there's no liability to the public body. They're not going to be able to go into court and take action if they can't prove they submitted a FOIA request. Contrary to the wild assumptions, we have never had copies of the draft audits prior to the last meeting. We actually got them the Monday following that meeting, and it was not the chairman who gave them to us, contrary to claims that he did. We got them, as I've published, we got them through a FOIA request. Once there's a draft is spoke about in a public meeting by the head of the public body, they're subject to FOIA. A group of you have chosen to participate on social media. I'm not going to name the names, but it's too embarrassing. You're on a social media site with one of the most vile and disgusting people I think we have ever come across, who, by the way, owes thousands of dollars to us and other folks due to a frivolous lawsuit that he lost. Several of you have commented regularly with him, like his post and post on his page. Some of you, and I'm sorry Chris isn't here because he needs to hear this, Chris Bain included, got a real taste of the person you're dealing with recently and actually recognized the comments posted were so vulgar that anyone associated with such comments are not doing your cause any good. And I thank Chris for calling him out in that post. It was appropriate. The guy is disgusting. Not Chris, the person he was talking to. Others follow this gentleman's direction, like his recent comment to the treasurer. Quote, "Hey, Erica, how would you feel if we get all of our friends to bombard you with FOIA Act requests? When multiple people ask for the same exact document within hours or a day or two, and then those same records show up on social media amongst their social network, that's abuse of the system, which some call weaponizing FOIA. It's because of these type of actions the legislature created the recurrent requester provision. 50 requests in a year, 15 in a 30-day period, 7 in a 7-day period. That's a frequent request, a recurrent requester. Different limitations are applied to them. We have never qualified for those criteria. I can count on one hand, maybe a couple extra fingers, the number of times we have filed a request for review and had the PAC rule against us in our 14 years of operation. Some of you have a collection of complaints to the PAC that you've lost. It's amazing to see how many. It would not happen if you would actually learn FOIA. Time up? Thank you, sir. I have more, but my time is complete. Thank you.
Public body comment. Public body comment.
Have you proved anyone?
Public body comment.
Sir, come on. Have you proved anyone guilty?
Where's the
Point of order.
Julie makes a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by Sonny. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Have a good evening.
What's that, Jay?
That's
Hey, how are you?